Welcome to The Next Big Star, hosted by James Kelly and Ninon de Rosa. Hello and welcome to The Next Big Star. I'm your host, James Kelly, and co-hosting is Ninon de Rosa.
Oh, my goodness.
Did I say that right?
Perfect.
That was an accident.
Nah, he usually likes to joke around with this, so it's okay. It's fine.
And our guest is Sharon Bryson, and Sharon has quite a story to tell. First of all, you are a singer.
Yes.
And you have an album that came out.
Yes.
But we're going to go a little bit into the background that's what led up to the music. So, first of all, you have 2 children.
I have 3 girls.
Oh, you have 3? Okay.
Yes, but I have 5 children total, just 2 live with their mom. We have 3 girls that are full-time with us. Our 10-year-old and 5-year-old and 2-year-old, Sateri, Elior, and Ashar.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, give us an idea of your background.
Well, I was born and raised in Vancouver, British Columbia. My mother is South African Indian, and my father is Eastern European, Jewish descent. Quite funny, because my father was born Jewish and my mother was born Muslim. But somehow, just before I was born...
That's interesting.
And you have 3 girls.
Yes, yeah. and we all became Christian.
Yeah.
While I was in the womb, they prayed for me to be filled with the Holy Spirit, and I do believe that happened kind of like a John the Baptist. So I was raised really to know God and love God. Of course, I'm no judgment. I love everybody, you know, regardless of their religion or gender or race or economic status. But that's just me. I just always loved the Lord growing up. And yeah, I lived in Canada most of my life, but I moved to the United States 3 years ago.
Okay.
So yeah.
Do you like it? Do you like the United States?
I love it. It's amazing.
She hesitated.
She has to say that. Yeah, I got to think about that one.
I do. I love the United States. It's such a beautiful country, and
it's a very free country.
It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah, it's very free. You can do anything here you want, and people don't bother you. Though I say that with tongue-in-cheek at the moment because everybody's bothering everybody, but you can do your career and nobody judges you.
Right.
Absolutely. It is a very great country, and I'm extremely lucky to be here with my family. Our youngest daughter is going to be 2 next week, and she was born in Maryland.
Oh, okay.
Right next to Washington, D.C.
Now, is your husband from the U.S.?
Yes, he's born in Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay. Right.
And he's an American citizen. The 3 of us, myself and the 2, the 10-year-old and 5-year-old, we have our green cards.
Okay.
Now he sponsored us.
Oh, he did?
Yes, which is wonderful. And then the Shar is an American citizen. So
Okay.
the
Right.
2-year-old.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So your background, though, is what led up to you doing music, as I understand it. Or at least that's where you found the inspiration for it.
That's true.
So tell us what led up to this.
Well, like I said, I was raised in a Christian home. I really loved the Lord. I loved music. I mean, you couldn't shut me
But
up
you
when
had
I
a
was
tragedy.
2 years old. Yes, but when I was 18 years old, just 3 days after my 18th birthday, quite a while ago, it was September 3rd, 1998, I was bathing in a pool of my own blood. I had been stabbed in my body 30 times and left for dead.
In fact, you had the artery here in your throat.
My artery was severed. The knife missed my jugular vein by only half an inch. The surgeon had said my eyes were severed. I had a severed tear duct. Both my eyes were stabbed. I had to have 2 eye surgeries. I was stabbed 30 times total in my stomach as well. I had a 8-hour trauma surgery at Grady Memorial Hospital in Atlanta, Georgia, where it happened. Yeah, I was a victim of a violent crime, but God completely saved my life.
So what was this, a robbery, or what was going on?
Yes.
Burglary?
Yes. It was more like, well, they came into my apartment, but I had allowed them in because I knew who the woman was.
Okay.
I was very naive. I was Canadian. I'd ran away from home.
Okay.
I'd ran away when I was 17, and I went and rented my own place. I told my parents, where I was, but I just no longer wanted to live in Canada anymore. I just wanted to see the world, and I ran away from
just
home.
like any youngster.
Anyone. I know they all want to do
Right.
that.
Exactly.
Ninon did that.
Oh, everybody. Yeah, you did it.
I did it. Yeah.
I did it. I almost got decapitated, though. I almost came back in a body bag. By the skin of my teeth, I survived it. And I ended up moving to Atlanta. I was going to go with a boyfriend. He said he really loved me. He was like 22. I was 17. But he didn't end up going. He got in trouble with the police. So I just drove by myself 5,000 miles. And I got there and I rented an apartment, a studio that I could afford for like $400 a month. And I got a job at the mall for $5 an hour. I think it was like $5.25 an hour. And one day at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I got a knock on my door. And it was a man and a woman. And I knew the woman. She lived in my complex. She was a few years older than me. And so was he. But I didn't know who he was. I'd never seen him before. And I just said, I was on my way to work. But I said, okay, quickly come use the phone, but I had a strong voice saying not to let them in, but I ignored it. And when they came in, they had a gun underneath the towel. They pulled it out. They put the gun in my mouth. They beat me with it. They tied me up with rope and they shoved socks in my mouth. I could barely breathe. They said, give us your bank card, give us your car keys. All I had to my name was $1,200 US in a Bank of America
So they were there
account.
to rob you then.
That's it. That's all I had. And I had a Geo Tracker in 1990 beat up real bad.
Take it, right? Just take the car,
just take
go.
it. You know, I don't have any money. I'll run back to Canada. I won't say anything to anybody. They said, no, we have to kill you. You've seen our face. So when he went with the bank card to get the money, she held me and she beat me with a waffle iron. She broke a big glass apple juice bottle on my face, which broke my nose. I was just like,
why were they doing all that?
There was no reason. I mean, she knew me. She could have been jealous of me.
But they were taking you somewhere to the bank? Or
No, I was kidnapped in my apartment.
Oh, okay. So all this happened in the apartment?
In the apartment.
Okay.
I was tied up, put on my knees, pistol whipped, had the gun in my mouth, beaten.
My point was, why would they go all through all that if they were just robbing you? Even if they were going to kill you, you would think they would just shoot you and that'd have been it.
Yeah.
But all the things they did to you, that's way above and beyond a normal robbery.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Everyone says that. And it is. It's like they ask me like, oh, did you do something to her? Did you, sleep
No,
with
it's
her
just they were
boyfriend?
psycho.
Did you, what did you do? Did you hurt? I said, no, are you kidding me? Like anybody that knows me knows I'm pretty, like I couldn't hurt
You're
a
too laid
fly,
back.
right?
Yeah.
So I said, no, none of that. I was just living my life. But she did torture me, but it was just pure evil. It was like staring the devil
So
and
they were-
evil in
yeah.
its face.
Yeah, that's what that was.
And then when I begged for my life, they didn't shoot me. There were children playing outside. I remember hearing it, but she grabbed a knife. He held my hands down, and the first place she stabbed me, and I remember this vividly because I was looking at her in her arms, and you can see right here. Do you see?
Yeah.
That's the stab wound in my hands, still there.
Oh, wow.
Of me fighting her. You can see it right there too. Fighting her for the knife, and that was it. And I lost the battle because he held my hands down, and she put the knife right in my neck. The doctor even said it hit the bone at the back. I should have never survived, and she stabbed me multiple times in my stomach. It was a total of stabs and slashes of 30.
But they
30
left
stabs.
you. They left you for dead, though.
Then they left me for dead. I was bathing in a pool of blood. I lost 50% of the blood in my body, and they moved the couch in front of the door. This is just like a 400 square foot apartment, okay? Moved the couch in front of the door. So I had been stabbed and beaten 30 times some miraculous way. I crawled to the door, pushed the couch to the way. Must have been God's angels. I even remember leaving my body and floating above and watching them get in my car and leave. You know what? I woke up, somehow got myself out of the door. I was laying flat on my back. Only my neck was out of the door. And the neighbor found me. He was a postman and he came home from work early that day. It was like a kind of apartment that there's a balcony outside, like the kind in the South, you know, they have in Florida. There's a balcony outside.
Lived in Atlanta.
He saw me. And he came running and he got really afraid. So he told a neighbor because he thought somebody would accuse him. He told a neighbor, call 911. The homicide police also came because they thought I was already dead. They rushed me to the hospital. I have an incredible place for doctors and paramedics
In your heart,
in my
yeah,
heart.
yeah.
Oh, I
And
bet you
nurses.
do.
They took me to the hospital. I was all alone. I was about to die, possibly in the ambulance, just bleeding to death. They sewed me up at one of the greatest trauma surgery hospitals in the world.
That's one of the biggest hospitals, by
Yes,
the
Grady
way.
Memorial
I know very well where
Hospital.
it is.
Yes,
Yeah,
and I woke up in intensive care and I couldn't move. You saw the picture.
Yeah.
So this nurse was there, this beautiful angel, and she was there to look after me and save my life, working with God. And
What happened when your parents found out? They obviously probably rushed to Atlanta.
they said it was like getting their heart ripped out of their chest.
Yeah.
They rushed
that
to
little girl.
Atlanta. They came right there to the hospital, and it was just a really sad moment, but happy at the same time because they were devastated, but they were so happy that I was
You're still
alive. And they were
alive.
talking to the
There's the other
detective.
side, yeah.
They were talking to the police. Like the police officer said, I've never seen anyone with such a will to live. He said he's been on so many crime scenes like that, and the people just die.
Yeah.
He's like, but your daughter, she fought and fought and fought to live, and I really wanted to live. And I literally had conversations with God in that moment, in my darkest moment, where I said, Lord, if you let me live, I promise you, I'll spend my life serving you. I'll be an instrument of your love everywhere I go. Every open door that you give me to tell my story, no matter who it is, whether it's a homeless person or whether it's a multimillionaire. I said, I will tell my story and I will love everyone and I will share it.
You just shared something that's very key. We always think of the homeless and how we have to try and uplift them. But it doesn't matter how much money you have or don't have. There's always someone trying to find a way out.
Absolutely.
Of whatever misery they're in.
Absolutely.
But then you were stabbed in your stomach,
yes,
you said, for about 30 times.
The stomach, neck, face, hands.
But the stomach, but then you have 3 daughters.
That's right.
So how on earth did that happen?
I know.
Well,
yes,
I know
actually,
you
never thought of that, but that's true.
But she's got stabbed.
She had children after that.
And then you've got all your insides being torn apart.
It's correct.
So the doctors must have absolutely put everything all back together again. I mean...
Oh, yeah. Oh, not only that, I wasn't sure I could have children again. The doctor said no. They just said, no, it has nothing to do with your ovaries. Are you okay? I had 2 ruptured bowels, though. Yeah. And then also, my dad thought I'd never look pretty again because my face was so slashed up. Like, so many of my scars have healed. And he said, my 18-year-old beautiful daughter will never be beautiful again. The neighbor that found me said it looked like a slaughterhouse horror movie. Like I was slaughtered like a pig, or a horror movie. There was blood everywhere, how he described the apartment. And my face, my eyelid, he said, was falling right off. The way I was so stabbed in my face and in my neck.
And you're lucky you didn't lose your sight.
Unbelievably
but
lucky.
But look at you now.
That even my mother was praying outside the eye surgeon's room in Vancouver, Canada. And he's like, I don't know, we might have to put a plastic tube in her eye to keep that tear duct together. And God just put it together with the help of surgeons, because doctors do work with God.
That's
you
right.
know,
They're the hands.
They're amazing. And they're the mind of God. Therapists too. Well, a lot of people of faith don't take some of the great people in medicine and science seriously as they should, because they are literally God in flesh all the time to save lives.
So with all that, you're a singer.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
How did that come into the realm? You know, you've got married, you've got 3 little girls.
Yes.
And you also sing.
And that's the whole thing with the singing, was you actually created the singing out of this experience.
Yes. Well, I just wanted to finish really quick before I tell about the singing. So I had 3 C-sections and I had 3 super healthy girls, and everything was perfect. And God is amazing with these little girls. So back to that. It all worked out. Yeah. And to my singing, yes, when I was 18 and I went back to Canada and I was recovering and my body was healing, I realized my quiet time with God that what do I really want to do? What do I really love? What gifts has He given me? And I knew it was music. I love to sing. I love to do music and create it and write it. So I started to study at a conservatory of music, and I went for 4 years to study there. And even while I was studying there, the music director allowed me to go travel to India, because I was doing crusades there and planting churches there and raising money for orphanages there and doing big concerts there of my music. So he would let me go because I was doing so much musical performance. But I just started to write many songs, and I put out my first album with my story on it, and then with some original music called Rescue. That was all the way back in 1999. That's on Amazon. But then God just put 18 tracks in my heart, a gospel album called Healed and Restored. And you could also get that on iTunes, Amazon, Spotify. And then I also made a 3rd album called Vulnerable, which is more R&B love songs. But now, all the way in 2021, I am doing children's music, which is wonderful too.
Yeah.
Is it a little different to what we're used to? Have you put a little different twist in it?
It is so amazing. Like, God really dropped this in our hearts too. My husband's been making these amazing hip-hop beats that are so cool and so 2021, and he just has them all on SoundCloud. And I started writing these melodies to them, amazing, like Tickle Your Toes and Fly With Me and Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes. But it's like hip-hop, and nobody would expect it. And like,
no, not with the younger generation, but that's what they need.
So your husband's into music as well.
He is just a bona fide musician, music producer. He's also the brains. He's a scholar as well. But his music is amazing. He's got a jazz album out called 60 Impromptu. He's not going to release his 2nd jazz album and for a few years, but he has some pop music out there and some hip hop also, and it's really great.
And you
music.
live here in Las Vegas.
Yes.
So I'm going to have to introduce him to someone that I know who does jazz. Do you guys know who Jack Jones is?
Jack Jones, I know the name, yes.
Jack Jones, he was popular in the 60s, 70s,
yes,
80s.
Jack Jones, sure.
Someone I know just helped put together an album for him on jazz. It's more of a jazz blues type thing from what I understand.
Which is fabulous.
But that would be such a great hookup for your husband to meet them.
But with the children's things, because that's something new. People haven't done things like that for the children.
But the jazz would be great for them to hook up and do a jazz thing together.
That would be amazing.
That would be fun. So
really.
Your lyrics, are they connected to your tragedy of what happened and how all that happened and how God sort of saved you and brought you through all this and made you what you are now?
They absolutely are. Not so much the children's music. It's all about kind of worshiping and adoring the sweet little ones, but playing with them and teaching them to laugh and love and live. So that is, but my album called Healed and Restored, every single song on there was so inspired by God and birthed out of a lot of pain, yet healing and restoration. And all of the lyrical content, the music, the chord progressions are all about the tragedy and recovering from it and healing.
But you're also making it into something that's positive, something that you can get through this and not to worry as much.
Absolutely.
To give them other people the strength.
Absolutely. Like there's one song that's really special to me that always will be. It's called Jesus, You Healed All My Brokenness. It's a duet. It was actually written for a friend of mine who's an amazing singer, but I didn't get to do it with her. She was a victim of rape. So I wrote it for her also. I wasn't able to get in touch with her, so my producer, Danya, sang it with me. But it's all about basically he's going through like a horrible time in his life, and I share the gospel with him, and I share love with him, and then he literally just invites God to come into his heart right in the song, and it's a conversation. But there's just a lot of beautiful songs on there, worship and healing and restoration.
So where are you with your music? I know it's probably available on Amazon.
Well, my children's music, not yet.
But your other albums?
But my other albums, absolutely. Yes.
And do you do any tours? What are you doing with your music? How are you promoting it?
Well, I'm only promoting it on Facebook, Instagram, social media. I'm not touring because I would if God opened those doors, but my deepest desire is to really get my music on television and film.
Okay.
That's my hope, so that, when people watch their cartoons, the theme song is one of my songs, and they just love it and it lifts them up. One of my songs is called Happy, Joyful, Laughing, Loving. It's like... It's just uplifting,
Well, maybe we can hook up. I have a series of children's books that's getting ready to come out.
That.
Based on a character named Caleb. We might hook up after this, see what you can do.
I would love
So,
that.
Absolutely.
that would be fun.
One helps the other.
One helps the other, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
So what's next for Sharon?
Well, I'm just continuing to be the best wife I can be. I have my soulmate that I always prayed for, and he's awesome. So we're just building a legacy together. And that's really the most important thing to me, as well as on the same level, is to be a great, great mother, and just really teach these young, incredible humans, like the coolest girls I've ever met in my life, how to be women, how to be ladies, how to love themselves, how to respect themselves and respect others, be kind to everybody, love everybody.
So how does the career fit into that?
And then my career. So
then
I do put God, family.
You have your priorities, and that's fantastic.
Yes, I do. I have God, family.
fun.
My career is so exciting right now because I just signed with Zulon Publishing to do my book called Left for Dead. We're already on the second chapter, and I am like, my heart is just beating every day. I'm so excited about it. I'm working with an amazing pastor who's a ghostwriter because I love to write songs, and God's given me a gift in that. But writing a book, I'm terrified to really write like a full book. So I got this help. I actually have a GoFundMe account also on my Facebook page, Sharon Bryson, because it is actually expensive. This publishing company is expensive. I'm extremely transparent with all the donors. Some people have donated already. I even post receipts and the breakdown of the cost of the book. My GoFundMe is for $10,000, and so far I've raised $1,550. And then
that's not bad.
Yes,
you're getting there.
It's wonderful. So, and it just started. I just signed with them about 2 weeks ago. We've just started the book, so I'm hoping that the book will come out within the year. I hope so, or the beginning of 2022. But it's going to be wonderful, and I'm very excited to just reach everybody. It is a Christian publishing company, but I really want to reach everyone of all religions, of all walks of faith and life.
Well, I think the stories are very inspirational in that you just, you didn't, once you got to the hospital and your parents showed up, you looked at how grateful you were instead of the tragedy itself.
Right.
And I think sometimes that's what has to happen.
Absolutely.
And we always hear of people who go through these things. What's it called? PTSD or PT? I don't know.
Something like that, yes.
A post-traumatic stress
Yeah, there we go.
Yes,
yeah. I know that's real, but you can't let that control your life either.
No.
You have to learn to get past that. There's so many people who have had tragedies in their life in one way or another, because you mentioned your friend who had been raped. Yours was a different story. And I think that we have to learn that, yes, tragedies can happen, but it's how you handle it after that.
Yes.
And getting past that is the hardest thing. It's not even the hardest thing, really. It's just saying, put that in the past and keep going forward.
I'm going to go through with this. I'm going to win. But with your case, it was a little different. But you did it.
Absolutely.
You did it.
I just thank God every day.
Yeah.
I have so much to be thankful for. I have a real different kind of perspective on life. Anyone who really spends time with me is, wow, like I just see things differently. I smell the roses and they just smell sweeter to me.
Smell the roses every day.
Every day.
Cherish every moment.
Absolutely.
Because that's all you've got. When you think about life, the only thing you've got, which you nearly didn't have, is your body. That's all you've got. All the cars and all the houses and all the stuff in the world not going to give you anything.
Nothing.
It's your body and what you do with your mind and how you think and what you do with people. people.
So that out-of-body
That's so
experience,
true.
can you give us an idea a little bit about what that was like? I mean, you saw yourself laying on the floor?
No, I didn't see myself laying on the floor. I do remember it very well. I just remember almost like I was floating outside on the balcony, at the balcony, watching them get into my car.
Oh.
But I knew that that would be impossible because I knew that, you know, with the police and everyone, that the neighbor that found me, that I was laying flat on my back with only my head out of the door. So I couldn't have been standing over watching them get on the car because I was laying flat
So
on my
that's how
back.
you know it was the out of...
That's why I believe that it was, and I remember it being like an out-of-body experience, and then I, you know, came back to life. I do believe, just a personal opinion, that I did die for a moment and then came back to life. I did.
I believe that's
He
probably
didn't
very
want
possible.
you yet. You hadn't done
Yeah.
what you're supposed to do.
No,
So he said, she
right.
can't go yet. We've got to bring her back again.
It's more another reason for being there.
Yeah.
I'm like so
There's
grateful
always a
that I
reason
brought
for
them
all
into
of
the
us
world.
being here.
You know, and a lot of people have experienced... I actually died when I was 3 from an asthma attack and came back. Well, they revived me. And the thing is that I don't remember anything like you just said as far as being out of the body experience stuff, but there's so many people who have passed for a moment or so or a few minutes. Well, I know someone who wrote a book, which I have their book over here on my shelf, who died for 40 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And they were able to revive him.
That is amazing.
And his whole experience was living another life. And then another friend of mine who also died, he died 2 or 3 different times from heart failure. And each time he lived a different life. It's like he lived an entire different life during that time. And he can remember it vividly. So, you know, there's so many stories of people who have passed on and come back and or saw things. I have someone in my family who passed. Actually, she didn't pass. They thought she was going to die. And she had an out-of-body experience, laying there telling them that she wasn't going to die, that she's not in any pain because they thought she was in pain. And, you know, I'm going to be fine. And she couldn't tell anyone. And she knew exactly who was there and where they were standing.
Oh, my goodness.
And she was supposedly in a coma. You know, there are things that can happen to us, and I think there is something to our spiritual being. I really do believe that. And we all have our own opinion on that, but you're kind of sharing that with us right now.
Yes.
And you know that you have a spiritual being.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I do. I believe like we are all spirits, and our shell is our body.
There we go.
We are.
Well,
we
it's
are
our
very
skin. I mean,
spiritual.
you look at our
It's
skin.
just a shell.
Our skin is wrapped around us.
That's right.
And there's no corners. It's all round.
And I think that's what important, what you said earlier, too, about your father had said that he was afraid they'd take away his beautiful daughter. But it wouldn't have even mattered if you had those scars today. You still would have been his beautiful daughter.
Forever.
And I
Well,
think
that's it,
what we forget about. It's like it doesn't matter if you had been maimed for life.
That's
You
right.
still would have been the same person.
That's exactly right. Right.
In his
Like
eyes, for sure.
In his
And-
eyes, you
right.
know. Yeah.
Well,
You
but-
know, that's true. Very, very, very much true. But I guess what he meant was, man, like her face is all scarred up. She wants to
Right.
attract a
Yeah.
husband one day,
Right.
maybe. And she was, and I understand that. But what the Lord can do is give you beauty for ashes. But beauty is really held in the eyes of the you know.
beholder.
You still
the
might have found your
beholder.
husband. I'm
And
telling
you know
you
what?
could have very
It's,
easily.
it doesn't. I totally agree. It doesn't matter. People look at the aesthetics, but to me, my husband is like the most handsome man on earth. To me, forever. I tell him that all the time. But maybe to somebody else, he's not. But to me, he is always
Well,
going to
you're
be
right.
aesthetically, spiritually, emotionally.
Right.
I love his soul so deeply, and when you really love someone's soul, you see
That's
past
where the
any
beauty is.
scars
Exactly.
or anything
Yeah.
physically. Because to us, that gap in the tooth or
Right,
that
right,
little
right.
mole
Doesn't
is
matter.
so
None of that,
beautiful
yeah.
because
Right.
of their soul.
Right, exactly.
You know, so I agree with you 100%.
All right.
Absolutely.
So, Sharon, where can we find music again? Because we're going to run out of time here.
So you can go ahead and go on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon. You would just look for Sharon Bryson, and my album is called Healed and Restored. And then I also have my newest single, Sharon Bryson, called Easy. And you can find me on Facebook, Sharon Bryson, and you can put Vancouver, Canada next to it. And I'm also on Instagram, which is Sharon_Bryson. And I also have just launched my new website for vocal coaching, online music school, AshiraShalomMusic.com.
And what about MCB Music?
Yes, MarcusMajesty.com.
Okay.
And he's also got an album called 60 Impromptu, and his name is Marcus C. Brown on that album. And then his artist name is also Yomaj, which is YOMAAJ. And he's also got a single that's amazing called Only You.
Okay.
And his videos are on YouTube also.
All right.
Awesome.
And Ninon, we find you everywhere.
I'm all over the place. Vegas Live with Ninon. I'm the host of the show and, of course, on your show. And everything out there is amazing. But like you, Sharon, I had Sharon on my show with her husband, and her husband is amazing.
He really
And
is.
he adores you, and you adore him. So when you find a marriage like that, and when you were talking about my husband, I adored my husband, he passed away, but he had 2 wives before me, so obviously that wasn't working, but ours did. So,
Yes.
you know, you always find that one person that really is
Always.
such a treasure to you. But don't forget Vegas Live with Ninon. Come on the show anytime.
Yes.
And to learn more about our shows, just go to All Aspects Radio Network. That's allaspectsradionetwork.com, and you'll find all of our shows there. Thank you so much.
We've got many of them.
We have quite a few. Sharon, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Amazing.
Thank you,
Thank you
Ninon.
so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Take care, James.
Thank you.
Yes.